Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So the million-dollar question is, do the Washington Commanders have another Pittsburgh Steelers-like upset in them? That's what this game feels like. 2 years ago, in this very same spot, similar time of the year too. A little bit later in the season, I think the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken, were already 11-0 when we defeated them. I think it was already post-Thanksgiving because we had played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving and destroyed them. So we were a little bit later on in the season. But we were in the month of November. It might have been, depending on when Thanksgiving hit, it might have already been December. Either way, it was later on in the season. Monday night, game was supposed to be originally played on Sunday. If you recall, there was some COVID ramifications that altered the schedule, and the game was played on a Monday. It was not supposed to be, but it ended up being on a Monday. All odds against Washington in that game. We weren't a great football team. We had confidence, though. We had won 2 previous games, had beaten Cincinnati, had beaten Dallas. So we did have a little bit of confidence. That's something that we're lacking heading into this game. Had we beaten Minnesota, we'd be on a similar type streak. That said, this team does believe they are playing better football. They are a better team than the last time they saw this Eagles football team. And so it does feel a little bit similar. I will say this. The Steelers were on their way down. They had not lost the game yet, but they were on their way down when we played them. And we were the beginning of the end for the Steelers that season, if you recall. Finished the season terribly, went into the playoffs, and they got housed in their own building by the Cleveland Browns and were bounced in Wild Card Weekend. Went from the number 1 seed in the playoffs to like the number 2 or 3 seed because of how poorly they finished, and they ended up getting beat in Wild Card Weekend by the Cleveland Browns, a team that they could have eliminated from the playoffs in Week 17. Decided not to play their starters. Browns won the game and then beat them the next week as well. The Eagles are playing much better football. There is no signs of the Eagles slowing down. And so there's the biggest difference there, is that this Eagles team, they're wrecking shop. They're undefeated. They're playing with an abundance of confidence, and they're not looking to slow down. The Steelers were looking for somewhere to lie down, and we just presented them with a pillow in a soft space. Eagles aren't looking to lie down anywhere, okay? So if we want to end this undefeated streak like we did the Steelers some 2 years ago, we're going to have to play a much better football game. Remember, we got down in that Steelers game early. I think if I'm not mistaken, we were down 10-0, 13-0, or 14-0. It was one of the 3. Can't remember exactly which, but we were down in that game early. Got some big contributions from some guys. The defense made some big stops. We made a big goal line stop. The offense had a big goal line touchdown after being initially stopped on 4th down, got a penalty, and got in on the next set of downs. Cam Sims had probably his best game as a pro. We had some big contributions. Logan Thomas was a monster in that game. But most importantly, the defense was outstanding. After a slow start, gave up some plays, the defense was huge. I think the score was, I think it was 14-3 at halftime. I don't think it was ever 14-0. I think it was 14-3 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. I think we had scored a field goal. right before the half, Alex Smith led us down the field. You know what? It was 14-0. I think they caught like a little like outbreaking route. Kendall Fuller missed the tackle, took off down the sideline, touchdown, made it 14-0. And Alex Smith on the play where you could see his sock was bloody, where I think we got away with a little something late in that first half, where he took the ball and ran off the field with it. Alex Smith did, and they ran on the K ball, and we were able to get the kickoff and got a field goal before half. Whatever the case may be, I'm reminiscing too much because that game has nothing to do with this game. If there's anything that game can do to help us here, is just there's some players that were here 2 years ago that experienced that game, that know what it's like to go into hostile territory in Pennsylvania against an undefeated team and find a way to win. You know, there are a number of guys that played in that game. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, as I mentioned, Cam Sims, Cam Curl, you know, Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin. There are a number of guys that are still here from that game. And, of course, a host and slew of others. But, again, totally different team in the Philadelphia Eagles. So, the question, as I mentioned at the top, do we have another one of those performances in us or not? I'm just going to say this right now, and we'll get into this later in the show in particular. I don't see this being a game where I have to beg the fellas to not embarrass us. I'll say it anyway. Please don't embarrass us, but I don't feel like that I have to say that. I think our defense will keep us in this ballgame. They'll give us an opportunity. The question is, for how long, and can the offense do their part to make what the defense is doing relevant? Because if the offense doesn't participate, there's only so long that the defense can hold on and make this a competitive ball game. But I expect the defense, and it's going to be a hostile environment, and they're going to be jacked, and they're going to be charged up. It's a Monday night game. They're undefeated. It's an NFC East game. We saw how they were juiced up and charged up for the Cowboys. We are not the Cowboys. I do think there's a bit of lack of respect. This is something I think we can use to our advantage. Not outward disrespect, right? But internally, I do think they feel like, oh, it's just Washington. We've already bust their ass once. We can do it again. I do think they expect us to come in, lay down for them, and them to stomp all over us and win that game comfortably in the environment that they'll be playing in. You listen to a lot of Eagles fans, and I think they kind of reflect the attitude of the players, which is, there's no way you're coming into our house on Monday night and beating us. I think the Eagles will have a similar attitude. And then there's the 24-8 destruction where the score doesn't even tell the story of how one-sided and lopsided that game was. And I think you combine the two, and there's this element of, yeah, we're going to destroy these boys. They're not on our level. They're the one team in the division we don't fear. Giants are respectable. Cowboys are respectable. We're not worried about Washington. That's the one thing that I think gives us an opportunity in this game, is I don't think they respect us like they should. I could be wrong about that. I can't confirm nor deny that. But I feel like this is an opportunity for us to go in there, got nothing to lose, just like we did against Pittsburgh. We were an under 500 team. I think at the time we were a 4-win ball club. When we played the Steelers, we were 4-7. They had nothing to lose. Yeah, you won 2 games in a row. Nobody cared. You're still 4-7. You're playing the worst division in football at the time. Yeah, you're going to go in there and you're going to get housed. We got down early. It looked like we were, fitting correctly and right into the narrative that had been formed oh, Washington's going to get run in this game, nothing to see here. And then somehow, as Ron Rivera likes to say, we bowed our necks and we got stingy defensively. Offensively, we woke up, we made plays, and we stole a game. I can tell you this. We won that game scoring, if I'm not mistaken, and again, don't quote me on this. I think we scored 17 points in that game, which is our magic number. We might have scored 20. Pretty sure all Ben Roethlisberger needed was a field goal on that final drive to tie and a touchdown to win. And we batted the ball in the air, picked it off, and secured the victory, essentially. I could be wrong about that. We're going to need more than 17 points to win this game. I can assure you of that. Anyway, do they have another Pittsburgh Steelers type performance in them? Only one way to find out. Let's get to in other news. Really, nothing here to see except the final injury report. And we'll just, verbalize. There's nothing visual here for you to see. We've already talked about the Eagles situation. They're relatively healthy going into this game. Couple of corners that are going to be out. No Avonte Maddox for the Eagles. That's not a surprise. He hadn't practiced all week long. They're going to be without their defensive tackle, Jordan Davis. That's not a nothing, but they'll survive. Okay? Does that weaken their run defense? Absolutely. Can we take advantage of it? I don't know, because we're not a great rush offense. So, don't even know if it does anything to help us or not. But I'd rather him not be there than him be there. But same with Avonte Maddox. Can we take advantage of it? Got to protect first. Don't know if we will or not. But at least the opportunity is there. On our side, we'll start with the good news. All right, we start with our dessert, as I always like to say. We're getting Jahan Dotson back at receiver. That should boost this offense, give them another weapon. Taylor Heineke has never had a full complement of weapons offensively, so this will be the first time. He's had the assortment of weapons. The tight end position is finally healthy. You're getting Dotson back. You're still going to be without J.D. McKissic. That's the only guy he's going to be missing in this game. He'll survive without J.D. McKissic. But getting Dotson back is huge. I don't have to explain to you why it's a big deal and what he brings to the table. The guy hasn't played in 5 weeks, and he still leads the team in touchdown receptions. That should tell you all you need to know. So, he's a big piece of this offense. We'll get him back, and it should help. To what degree? Don't know. But again, it should help. Another piece of news that I think is vital, still has me a bit worried, is Tyler Larsen. There's no definitive word at the time of this video if he's going to play or not. He's questionable. I think he's going to give it a go. I think he's going to play. He'll start the game. The question is, will he finish the game? Now, we could get to game time. They could decide back's not where it needs to be. They're going to go with Nick Martin. Either way, I'm worried about the center position. But I think, personally, he's going to give it a go. We'll see. So that's a bit of good news, right? Those two guys in particular. One's playing for sure. The other is questionable, but I think he's going to give it a go. I think the extra day on Monday night is enough to get Tyler Larsen out on the football field and give him a chance to start and finish the game. We'll see if that happens. If not, Nick Martin will be the backup, and he'll be the guy that gets the start. The bad news. Tyler Larsen is questionable, and he could not start this game, and Nick Martin could start this game, which was part of the problem the first time we played the Eagles. Our center position was a mess. We were just finding out that the guard position was also a travesty, and we lost our right tackle. Could we be seeing our right tackle come back this week in Sam Cosmi? Let's hope. This will be the first game that he started essentially since the Dallas game. Same thing with Jahan Dotson. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see what happens at center, as I just mentioned. Chase Young, let's start there. All the reports all week long have been semi-positive. Nothing negative other than he's not at 100% yet. He's not moving at 100% speed, which doesn't surprise me, but I still thought he would be able to go on Monday. When the week started and the first day of practice took place, I felt confident this would be the day that Chase Young would go. After hearing Jack Del Rio, however, speak on Friday, and then they followed up with the Saturday practice, and Rivera essentially, said, we'll play him when he's ready. I've said all along that this was the game he'd be activated and he'd play. I don't know if that's going to hold true or not. Again, don't hold me to that statement that he's going to play. I'm still going to go out on a limb and say they activate him and he plays, but I was more along the lines of 70% he would play, 30% he wouldn't when the week started. As of right now, I think it's like 45% he'll play, 65%, or 55% he won't play. So I'm somewhat leaning towards him not, being activated and not playing in this game. Either way, he'll play next week against the Texans. I can assure you of that if he doesn't play in this game because, again, then you're running out of time with the window. So if he doesn't play in this game, he'll be playing next week against the Texans. But this was the one we wanted him back for. Don't think that's going to be the case right now, but we'll see. We will not have J.D. McKissic. I'm starting to think that this neck is a big deal. Like, bigger than it was, believed to be when it initially happened. Similar to the way it affected him last year when he missed the final 5 games of the season. 6 games of the season or whatever it was. Stay tuned. He's definitely out of this game. Same could be said for Cole Holcomb. A foot injury that we were led to believe, it might not be that bad. Maybe he'll be back next. We haven't seen Cole Holcomb now for roughly a month. I think the last game Cole Holcomb played in was the Bears game on Thursday Night Football. So if that is true, he didn't play the following week against Green Bay. I think he did play against Green Bay. I keep thinking he missed that game. I think he played against the Packers. I think that was the last game he played in. He didn't play against the Colts, and he didn't play against the Vikings. This will make it the 3rd straight game that he's missed. And he didn't practice at all again this week. So, some concern there. And this is a game against the Eagles where you need your linebackers with the RPOs and the read option and all of the things that the Eagles throw at you. They put a lot of stress on your linebackers in particular. This was a game that you definitely needed a guy like Cole Holcomb and definitely wanted a guy like John Bostic or David Mayo anywhere near the field. Well, we're not even going to have the opportunity to have a glob of Mayo out there. He's injured. He's out with the hamstring injury as well. So it's definitely going to be John Boom Bostic. You should be worried. I know I am. So it's another, blow to this team. No Cole Holcomb, no David Mayo, no J.D. McKissic in this game. So, obviously, we have some issues with depth at linebacker. We already knew this coming into the season. We've known this for the last 2 weeks with no Holcomb. It is what it is. So, you're up to speed on the injury situation. We'll find out a little bit more about Young and whether he'll be activated. The likelihood is no, he probably would have already been activated if he was going to play. He hasn't been, so I assume that he won't be. And Tyler Larson, that's the other one that is out there that's a big deal. We'll see what happens there. So, let's get to the game plan. What will it take for Washington to pull the biggest upset of the season? Because that's what this would be. Washington is currently an 11-point underdog in this football game. The Eagles are undefeated. They're red hot. They're at home. They've already stomped a mud hole in Washington once this season. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is expecting Washington to win this game. Only NFC East fans are thinking, Washington may have a chance. People from the outside looking in expect this to be a massacre, a bloodbath on Monday Night Football. And if we're not careful, it will be. So, what will it take for Washington to pull the biggest upset of the season and get back to 500 on the season? You want to keep pace with the 49ers. You want to stay in striking distance within the Seattle Seahawks because these are the teams you're fighting with essentially for the 7th seed in the NFC right now. You can't even talk about Dallas, who lost, and say, hey, we got a chance to catch them because we didn't take care of business against Minnesota last week. If you're 5-4 right now, then you can start talking reckless about catching a team like Dallas. Hey, Giants, we still got them twice. They're not out of the woodworks either. But you didn't do what you needed to do last week, so now you're in a position where you can't even talk about the other teams. The only teams you can talk about are teams outside the division, like San Francisco and Seattle, because the team that doesn't win that division is the team that you're competing with, if you're Washington, for that 7th and final wild card spot, because the assumption is Dallas and New York, unless one of them takes the Eagles, one of those two teams or those two teams are going to have wild card spots with the way that they're playing football. So, you want to keep pace with San Francisco? They're 5-4 now. Want to keep pace with Seattle? They're 6-3. Somebody's going to win a division. Someone's not in the NFC West. And whomever doesn't, the assumption is they'll have the 7th seed. Not so fast, my friends. You want that opportunity? Need to win a game like I told you, we're going to have to start beating good teams. You're not going to be able to continue to beat the likes of the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars and think you're going to make the playoffs. At some point, you have to beat the Tennessee Titans and the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. You're going to have to start beating quality opponents. The 49ers are on the schedule. You're going to have to start beating quality football teams if you plan on playing bonus football. Here's an opportunity to show the rest of the league that you're not going to go down without a fight. The first order of business is defensively because, again, we could sit here and talk about the offense. It's been anemic. We'll get to that because without the offense, we probably don't have a chance in this game. But I said probably because there is a path to where the defense plays well enough, you'll have an opportunity offensively, even if you continue to play the type of football we've been playing for most of the season offensively. But that's not possible if the defense doesn't step up. Winning this game isn't possible if the defense doesn't step up. This game begins and most likely ends with this defense having to play one of its best games of the season. There's no way around that because the Eagles have been so prolific offensively and they're such a dynamic offense and they come at you in waves and they've done such a great job of scheming things up. Jalen Hurts has done such a great job at identifying what teams are doing at the line of scrimmage pre-snap to get them in the right play. They've become a nightmare to defend. And thus, this defense is going to have to play some of its best football of the season. And the first thing you're going to have to do is find a way to slow down their RPO game. That is their bread and butter. Is they want to put you in conflict. Whatever you do, they want to make you wrong. You want to come up and stop the run? We're going to give you some run action looks. We're going to give you that run fake. We're going to hold it as long as possible. Your linebackers are going to respond to it. And we're going to throw the slant right behind them. We're going to throw the seam route to the tight end right behind it. You want to stay back for the pass? We're going to give it to the running back. And he's going to run it. And he's going to get 6 or 7 or 8. Whatever you do, we're going to try to make you wrong. We've got to find a way to confuse Jalen Hurts, make him think it's one thing, make it look one way, and make it be something totally different. I actually thought we didn't do that bad of a job the first matchup of disguising, making things look one way, having it be another. Our problem was we just didn't defend well enough when the opportunities presented itself. That was the first game of Rashad Wildgoose. They took advantage of it. Kendall Fuller was in position every single time he gave up a play to Devontae Smith. Excuse me. And he just didn't make the play. I mean, he was there every single time. Just like on the deep ball, down the sideline, Benjamin St-Juste was there. He just didn't make the play. We're still not sure if he actually caught that football. Ron didn't throw the challenge flag. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is we got to be better in the secondary. The D-line is playing their best football of the season right now. Sans for the Green Bay game, where they really didn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers did a great job of ball out of hand quickly. The Eagles, they get the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands quickly at times, but in that game, if you recall, he was standing back there for 5-6 seconds while guys were running 30, 40 yards down the field and then letting it rip with not a soul within 3 yards of him in any direction. I mean, the pass protection was immaculate in that game. He was sacked one time. We may have hit him twice, maybe 3 times. He was not under duress in that game at all, which is why he carved us up. We're going to have to do a better job of making Jalen Hurts uncomfortable. We're going to have to blitz. We're going to have to, and I'm not saying we got to come with all out pressure and it's got to be consistent, but we're going to have to mix up the looks. We can't just rush 4 against this Eagles offensive line that has been spectacular all season long and expect our guys to just hit home consistently with the way the Eagles play offense. There's going to have to be some help, and we're going to have to communicate, and we're going to have to tackle well. We did not tackle the Eagles well the first time we played them. The biggest play that stands out in my mind is the tight end screen that opened the floodgates after the Carson Wentz fumble that led to a touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. It's 3-0. It's 3-0. Wentz fumbles the ball. They recover. They run the ball. They get a minimal gain. On 2nd down and long, they throw a tight end screen, and Cam Curl has a chance to make a tackle for a 1 or 2 yard gain. He ducks his head, doesn't see what he's hitting. He olays, and off to the races goes tight end Dallas Goedert for a touchdown. And the game was never the same. We've got to tackle in this football game. We have to limit the RPO effectiveness. Easier said than done, I know, but it has to be done if you're going to have a chance. I thought in the first game we did a really good job of limiting the Eagles' rushing attack. Miles Sanders, non-factor. Jalen Hurts' legs, non-factor. We didn't have to worry about the run. The biggest problem was the pass, which leads me to my next key to the game. We cannot allow the explosive plays that we allowed in abundance in week number 3. It was, to me, the single biggest reason, outside of the fact that the offense was absolutely putrid in protection and didn't even give us a chance. It was the single biggest reason outside of the offensive line in that game why we lost. the inability to stop the Eagles from having explosive plays. I told you guys earlier in the week, 7 by my count, plays of 20 yards or more. There were 2 plays of 40 yards or more in that ball game that absolutely crippled us. You take away the big plays, and let's say that they only had 2 in that game. It's a totally different ball game. But we gave up explosive after explosive after explosive after explosive in that game. Hell, we even gave up penalties that were 25 and 30 yards down the field. We have to limit how explosive the Eagles are. We must make them work. Because last game when we did make them work, they encountered third downs, didn't convert. They encountered fourth downs where they went for it, did not convert. But you have to make them work. You cannot allow them to skip over 3 or 4 third down opportunities by just having a 45-yard play down to the Washington 17-yard line, down to the Washington 7. And now they don't have to worry about 3rd and 6 from their own 37 or 3rd and 4 from their own 48 or 3rd and 6 from the Washington 46-yard line. You have to make them convert those. If they do, they do. But you can't let them skip over that and get straight into deep into Washington territory. Or even worse, a touchdown. Make them have to convert over and over and over again. I don't think they can consistently. We're the 3rd best third down defense in the league for a reason, and we did play well against them on 3rd and 4th down in the first matchup. Make them convert. Another thing that we did well in the first game was we made them one-dimensional. Now, that one dimension kicked our ass, but I'd like to do that again. Make them one-dimensional. We can do it. We've done it before. Do it again. And hope that you have different results with Jalen Hurts as a passer, because he absolutely carved us up the last time. There were opportunities for us to make plays. I think we're a much better defense than when we saw them the first time. We're much more confident. We have so much more confidence in Benjamin St-Juste than what we had in that first game. The safeties, that was Cam Curl's first game back. He's much more comfortable. The safeties are much more comfortable now. That secondary is much more comfortable. I have much more confidence in Danny Johnson than I ever did Rashad Wildgoose. It's a different team defensively. Show it. Act like it. Go out there and execute. The Eagles didn't score a single point in the first quarter of the first game. All 24 of their points came in the second quarter. I'd love for them to get off to another slow start. I can't assure you that that's going to happen. I can't assure you that their first drive won't be a quick, painless march right down the field in which they cap it off with a touchdown and it seems like, oh shit, here we go again, like against Minnesota. I can't assure you that that won't be the start to the game. Crowds raucous. We win the toss. Eagles get the football. And they march it right down the field and score a touchdown. I can't assure you that that won't happen. We get the football, we get 1 first down, and then we got a punt, and it's 7-0, and you're thinking, oh, shit, here we go. I can't tell you that that won't happen. But what I can tell you is that whatever does happen, we have to be resilient in this game. We're not going to lead from start to finish. This won't be a wire-to-wire victory. The Eagles have trailed the least amount of time in the league this season. The likelihood is, if we're going to win this game, the Eagles will be winning this entire game and we'll have to come back from behind late and steal it from them. Or it's nip and tuck. You know, we're trading scores. It's like we're not going to win a shootout against the Philadelphia Eagles. We got to bring them down to our level. They got to play in our neck of the woods. Because we're not capable of playing where they would like to play this game, which is in the high 20s, low 30s. We're not capable of doing that. At least we haven't shown it since week 2. So we got to drag them down to our level and play this game in the high teens, low 20s. So again, we're going to have to limit the explosives, limit the amount of points. Red zone defense is going to have to be much better than it was last time because remember, the Eagles had so much success in the first game in the red zone. They got down there and they were able to punch the football in for the most part. You had the touchdown right before the half. You had the touchdown to Dallas Goedert. I think that was right outside the red zone. I think it was like 23 yards. So it was right outside the red zone. But that's pretty much the red zone, okay? If you're going to stop the Eagles, you're going to have to force them to kick some field goals. They cannot score touchdowns every time they get remotely close to the end zone. Because, again, we're not going to score, more likely than not. I can't say we won't definitively. I can't confirm nor deny that. But the likelihood is if the track record that we've seen from this team continues, we're not going to score 30 points. We're not going to score 27 points. Hell, we probably won't even score 24 points in this game. So we're going to have to make them kick some field goals. Offensively, it's no secret. The first thing that we have to do is we got to protect the quarterback. I could tell you we need to run the football, this, that, and the third, yada, yada, yada. That's great. Everybody's having success against the Eagles. Well, we're not everybody. We don't run it well. It's not our strength. It'd be nice to run it and take some of the pressure off of Heineke in the passing game, but the likelihood is, the reality of the situation is, we're probably not going to be able to do that effectively. All right, who are we kidding? We're not just going to wake up one day and all of a sudden, because they have trouble stopping the run, we're going to be able to run the football. When we played the Bears were the second worst rush defense in football, and we struggled to run the football, okay? We had our moments in that game, and we struggled to run the football. Who are we kidding, okay? I surmise it's going to be something similar to that effect in this game. We'll have our moments. We'll have a nice gain here and a nice gain there, but it won't be consistent. Where this game will be won or lost for Washington is our ability to pass protect and give Taylor Heineke an opportunity to get the football to the various weapons that we'll have available for him in this game. That's honestly where this game will be won or lost. Offensively, of course. Can they protect Heineke? Can he be more decisive than he was last week? And most importantly, can he protect the football? I can't stress this enough. I just need a clean ball game. We don't have to generate any turnovers, and the likelihood is the Eagles won't turn it over. They're not a high turnover team. They've only turned it over 3 times the entire season. So the likelihood is they're not going to turn it over. Well, that's fine. We don't need them to turn it over. It'd be nice if they did. But what we really need is for our offense and special teams to not turn it over. For us to play a clean game. To not make, look, if you're going to beat the Eagles, you're going to beat an undefeated team. You can't make mistakes. Those can't exist. You can't have the wide open drop on 2nd and 9 that would have been a first down. Can't have the batted ball with the open receiver like we did against Minnesota. You can't have the back-breaking interception when things are going well. Hell, if things are going bad, either way, you can't have it. Can't have the fumble we had in week 3 with Carson Wentz getting hit and the Eagles recovering deep in Washington territory, leading to their first touchdown of the game. We can't have any of that. Can't miss field goals. Can't miss extra points. We've got to play a damn near flawless football game. Can't be sacked 9 times. Heineke can't be missing wide open running backs out of the backfield because he's indecisive and taking a sack instead. Can't be forcing the ball into double coverage, triple coverage like he did last week against this secondary because they're not going to miss. Whether the official decides to set a screen or not, you throw it into double coverage against this secondary, it's going to get picked off. He's going to have to make the right decision, make it expeditiously, and he's going to have to use his legs. It's almost like he was afraid to use his legs last week. Use them. People, always talk about him playing like it's his last game. Play like it's your last damn game, because it may very well be this season. Let it all hang out. Leave it all on the field. And his targets have to help him. Dotson had a big drop against the Eagles the first time on a comeback. That would put us in a position to score a touchdown. He dropped the football on the third down. Can't have it in this game. When we get in the red zone, we got to score touchdowns, not field goals. They won't be good enough in this game. Red zone efficiency will be huge because I don't know how many times we're going to get down there. Be nice to have one or two explosives. One of them be a 37-yard touchdown from outside the red zone. That'd be great. The likelihood is it's not going to occur. And we're going to have to find a way to matriculate the ball down the field, get in the red zone, and punch it in. We got to protect Heineke. He's got to use his legs. He's got to stay away from the big mistake. And we have to protect the Duke. And when we get opportunities, we cannot squander them. We got to do the little things in this game. I'll leave you with this. We got to do the little things in this game. We can't have a ball that Tressway kicks perfectly down to the 3 and one of our gunners decides, I'm going to be running 21 miles an hour, but I'm going to try to grab the football and stop it myself. Don't be selfish. Make the smart football play. If you don't need to touch it, leave it alone. If you're going to touch it, bat it. Don't try to grab it. We can't do the little things incorrectly in this game like we've done all season long for the most part. There were a lot of hidden yards against the Vikings that killed us. We're going to get great field position. Defense does their job, pins the Vikings deep in their own territory. They're punting the football. We get a stupid holding penalty. We're going to start at the Vikings' 45-yard line in plus territory. Instead, we're starting at our own 35-yard line. That's 20 yards of field position. That's insane. Tressway with a beautiful punt. It checks up at the 3. It's bouncing backwards. And our gunner decides, I'm going to try to grab the football even though I'm running too fast to be able to stop. And instead of him just letting the shit check backwards or tapping it backwards, he tries to grab it. Then when he realizes, oh shit, I'm going in the end zone, I probably should throw it away. Too late. Ball bounces back into the end zone, and it's a touchback instead of them starting inside their own 5-yard line. The hidden yards are huge. Do the little things correctly. Make the tackle on 3rd and 8 on a 4-yard pass. Don't let them break that tackle and run for a 9-yard gain on 3rd and 8. Do the little things. They try to draw you off sides. We had a stupid penalty. If you recall, end of the first quarter. It's 3rd and 4. Might have even been 4th and 4. I think it was 3rd and 4 though. Defense is playing exceptionally well. It's the end of the first quarter. They don't have to run a play. They just come out and they hard count us. And what do? We jump off sides like a dumbass. Give them a first down. Be smart. Do the little things correctly in this game. So that takes me to the final outcome. I was confident. I like this matchup. I've already told you that. I was confident about our ability to steal this game. That we could go into Philadelphia, shock everyone, end the Eagles' undefeated season, win this football game, get back to 500. I was so confident before the week started. Before I learned that, excuse me, Tyler Larsen was banged up. May not go in this game. And he still may not go. He may play. And if he does, he's not 100%. He may start the game and not finish it. Remember how big of a deal it was that our center could barely snap the football back to the quarterback? How many times did Wentz have to bend down to catch a snap against the Eagles? They already couldn't protect him. And then he had to worry about, well, where the hell is the snap going to be? Is it going to be off to the left? Is it going to be on the ground? Do I have to scoop it up? We may have to deal with that shit again. No, it's not Wes Schweitzer's barely getting the football back there this time, right? But Nick Martin wasn't that much better against Dallas the following week. He may be playing in this game. That worries me. You know, we've had less offensive line issues. They haven't been, perfect, but they've been tremendously better since Tyler Larsen entered the starting lineup in week 5 versus the Tennessee Titans. Offensive line has been much better. And we've had a fighting chance. If I'm not mistaken, the week 5 matchup against Tennessee was Tyler Larsen's first game. We stabilized the offensive line. Him not being at center may unstabilize and make it unstable. The instability potentially makes me nervous. Nervous enough that I am not as confident. Thought we were getting Chase Young back. That was going to be a huge emotional boost. Not just for his play, but just because of what it meant to have him back on the field. Don't think that's happening. When we beat the Steelers, he was such a big part of that game. Just emotionally, he was a big part of that game. It would have been huge to have him back. Don't think that's going to happen all of a sudden. So, I said all of that to say this. We're going to fight like hell. It's going to be a closer game than people think. I don't think the Eagles cover the 11-point spread right now. But I do think they win this game. And I don't think the score that I have, the final score, is an indication of how close the game is. Because while we hang around, just like we usually do when we're in Philadelphia, all these games in Philadelphia seem to go the same way. It's close early. Hell, we're even ahead. Remember the last time we were in a similar spot against the Eagles on a Monday night later on in the season? Alex Smith goes down. Colt McCoy has to start back in 2018. Adrian Peterson rips off a 91-yard run for a touchdown. We're actually ahead in that game 10-3. Or 7-3, something like that. It was short-lived. But it was in the second quarter, we were hanging in there. And then slowly but surely, they made plays. Wentz made plays. They won the game going away. Hell, last year. Another example. That was the COVID game. Garrett Gilbert at quarterback. Hurts throws an early pick. We turn that into a touchdown. We get another opportunity. Actually, we moved the football right down the field. I think we scored a touchdown. Then he throws the pick off of Goddard's shoe, picked off by Landon Collins. We get another opportunity. Open Terry McLaurin. He underthrows it. We miss an opportunity to score a touchdown. We settle for a field goal. But we're up 10-0. Should have been 14-0. And then the Eagles proceeded to systematically wear us down. We're in this game into the fourth quarter, and then they run away from us. It was a valiant effort by a JV squad that we put out on the field that night. But they couldn't get it done. That's how it always goes in Philadelphia. We hang in there. We're game. We're within striking distance, but you never quite feel like we're going to win the game. Maybe there's a chance, but yeah, I think the Eagles, we're right there with them. It's 17-13 heading into the fourth quarter. We got our opportunities, just like Dallas. It's 15-10 going into the fourth quarter. We had our opportunities, but we don't take advantage of them. We don't do enough. We make some mistakes. They score a touchdown in the fourth quarter, take a 24-13 lead. That's the score for the majority of the fourth quarter. We score a late touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go. Got to kick an onside kick to have a chance. Of course, we don't recover the onside kick. They win the game 24-20. We never have the football with the chance to win the game after they take the 24-13 lead. Defense, valiant effort, but once again, the offense doesn't do enough. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see us ending their win streak. We could do it. I just don't trust the offense. I don't expect them. How many games have we played clean this season? One? 1 out of 9? And I was supposed to expect them to do that in this game? I think the one game we didn't make a turnover, we didn't have a turnover, was the Bears game on Thursday Night Football. We've turned it over in every single game this season. Every single game, except the Bears game. Hard for me to envision us not turning it over at least once. Heineke's had a turnover in every single one of his starts. Every single one. Threw a pick against the Green Bay Packers. That was a pick six. Threw a pick against the Indianapolis Colts. Thought that cost us the game. It didn't. But it almost did. Threw a pick against the Vikings, and it did cost us the game. So, am I to believe that all of a sudden he's just not going to throw an interception? He's thrown one in every single game? I wish I could, but I'm just going off of logic. This season has been illogical, so maybe he just magically doesn't turn it over in this game, plays the game of his life in the NFL, like has one of those Tampa Bay Buccaneers out-dueling Brady type game. And he did not out-duel Tom Brady, just so you know. But he plays with that mentality. That's what we need, honestly. Pylon Heineke selling out, making all the right decisions. Even the interception he threw in that game against the Buccaneers wasn't truly his fault. Ball got deflected. It's a good decision. Just got tipped and then picked. Heineke is going to throw a pick at some point. That's just what he does. Which is why he's a backup. 24-20. Eagles get the win. Remain unbeaten. We leave with self-respect and dignity, but we don't leave with the win. So, again, I'm not into moral victories. But we'll see what happens. A lot of you feel confident. Oh, we're going to do it. We're going to win. Tell me why. Leave it down in the comment section. I want to know why you think we're going to beat the Eagles. How are we going to achieve this? All the evidence suggests that we're not going to do it. Mentally, we've watched this team for 9 weeks. We know we're capable. But we've also watched for 9 weeks this team find and create ways to make things much harder on themselves than it needs to be. Well, you can't make things harder than they need to be against an undefeated 8-0 football team that's the best in the league right now. That doesn't fly. You see what I did there? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I'll be rooting like hell for the good guys tonight on the road where nobody's going to give them a chance in hell to win the football game. Just, it feels like the Steelers game. Can we get a similar result? Only time will tell. But you know where to find me when it's all said and done. If you're a member of the MOBB, you know where to find me while it's going to be going down. Either way, I'll see you later on this evening. You guys have a good one. Leave it down in the comment section. Score more. What do you think is going to transpire in this game? Have a good one.
Here comes the Diesel. Here comes the Diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone.